So a year ago from today, I sold my Canon R6 Mark II and I switched to Sony mirrorless cameras. And in this video, I want to break down why this might actually be one of the best decisions I've ever made as a content creator. So to give you guys a little background, I'm a content creator and I primarily shoot YouTube videos, Instagram Reels, TikTok videos, as well as YouTube Shorts. So I shoot a combination of long form horizontal content as well as short form vertical content for brands and clients in fashion, fitness, real estate, as well as the travel industry. And in this video, I want to break down why this might actually be one of the best decisions I've ever made as a content creator. Because Sony mirrorless cameras have taken the quality of my content to another level, and client satisfaction has also obviously been noticeably more positive ever since I did the switch. So initially, I had a Canon R6 Mark II, which was a decent camera, but as a travel content creator, I shoot a lot of run and gun style videos without a gimbal. So I made the decision to switch to Sony ecosystem and I got the Sony A7 IV as well as a Sony FX3, which I'm shooting on right now. And over the course of the last year, I've actually traveled to at least 6 different countries with these cameras. So started out in Miami, Florida. Then I went to the Dominican Republic, Punta Cana, and Santo Domingo. And then I went to Mexico in Tulum before I flew to Europe and I went to Turkey. And then finally, I also went to Dubai. So these opportunities have given me a lot of time to test these cameras in different environments, especially being in Dubai, which is obviously a desert and it's super hot. It was extremely important for me to have a camera system that does not overheat. I felt like this is a good time to do a sit down video and pretty much talk about the experience that I've had with these two cameras. So before we begin, let's start by asking a question. Why am I making this video? Why is this video important? So if you're a beginner content creator, or maybe you're thinking of switching to a different camera system, I'm pretty sure you guys know that investing in camera gear is extremely expensive, especially if you want to shoot full frame. And myself, having been a content creator for over 5 years now, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on different camera gear. I've switched from Fujifilm to Panasonic, Canon, and I've lost quite a lot of money before I eventually found a camera ecosystem that I'm extremely happy with. So the goal of this video is to help beginner content creators make more informed decisions in terms of what camera system you want to purchase so you don't waste your money like I did. So when it comes to choosing which camera system you go with, there's so many factors beyond just image quality that you have to think about. As a content creator, you also have to think about autofocus, color science, overheat, IBIS, or in-body image stabilization. You have to decide if you want to shoot with a full frame or APS-C camera, as well as many other factors that we're going to get into in this video. Apologies, I know I've been rambling quite a lot, but last point I want to make is in this video, I don't really want to dissect the technical specs of these cameras because I feel like there's so much content out there on YouTube. Or you can use an AI tool like ChatGPT to break down and dissect all the technical specs on these cameras. On this video, I mostly want to focus on real world experience of what it's like to shoot with these cameras. So the first reason why I switched to Sony mirrorless cameras is autofocus. The Sony cameras actually offer real-time tracking and AI-based eye tracking, which is actually very snappy, responsive, and sharp. And as a content creator who shoots a lot of run and gun style videos in travel and fashion, extremely responsive, snappy, and sharp autofocus is very important. It helps me track moving subjects and make sure my subject is always in focus. And as a content creator who shoots a lot of travel, fitness, and fashion content, it's extremely important that my autofocus system can track fast-moving objects because the environment changes all the time and sometimes the subject can change direction pretty quickly. So I need an autofocus system that's responsive, snappy, and reliable. In the past, I've shot with the Panasonic GH5 camera, which was actually one of my favorite cameras, but the biggest problem I had with the Panasonic GH5 is it uses a phase detection-based autofocus system, which is very unreliable and unresponsive. And in a lot of my video shoots, I found that the camera was constantly out of focus and in general struggled to track moving subjects because the camera was constantly hunting. But switching to Sony, I felt like I definitely have more responsive, snappy, and reliable autofocus system and is able to track moving subjects successfully. The next reason why I switched to Sony mirrorless cameras is image quality. So Sony mirrorless cameras actually offer high quality images in terms of sharpness, color science, dynamic range, and low light performance. A lot of Sony mirrorless cameras such as the Sony A7 IV, A7 V, or this A7C actually downsample 7K footage when you shoot 4K. So this actually produces sharp and crisp images with natural looking skin tone and beautiful color science, as well as amazing dynamic range. And if you choose to go with the Sony full frame cameras such as the Sony FX3, you are going to get amazing low light performance because this camera is literally able to see in the dark. And to give you guys an example, I actually shot with a client in Mexico on the beach without any lighting, and as you guys can see, I was still able to produce amazing footage. Traditionally, Canon has been known as the king of color science, which is why initially I went with the Canon R6 Mark II. And in the past, Sony cameras have been known to have this yellow tint or yellow skin tone, which was extremely difficult to fix in post-production. But fast forward to 2025, 2026, the new line of Sony mirrorless cameras have extremely improved in terms of color science and skin tones. And when I compare the footage between my previous Canon R6 Mark II and my current Sony cameras, I definitely feel like Sony is by far more superior when it comes to dynamic range. Sony does a better job when it comes to balancing the contrast between highlights and the shadows in your footage. One of my biggest complaints with my Canon R6 Mark II, I constantly felt like the shadows were sometimes a little too dark. And this was a problem which made it a little bit more difficult to color grade the footage or fix that problem in post-production. So when it comes to image quality, currently I definitely prefer working with Sony S-Log footage as compared to Canon C-Log footage. I hope you guys are enjoying this video so far, and if you have any questions, make sure to leave a comment below. Most importantly, if you are enjoying this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button, join the family. So the next reason why I switched to Sony mirrorless cameras is the lens ecosystem. If you're looking for a decent full frame mirrorless camera, then I'm pretty sure you know the camera body can cost between $2,500 up to $5,000. But what a lot of beginner content creators are not aware of is the fact that decent mirrorless camera lenses can be as equally or even more expensive than the camera bodies. So as a content creator, if you're looking for a high quality prime or zoom lens for your mirrorless camera, be prepared to spend $1,000 or more. And when I bought a Canon R6 Mark II, I quickly found out that Canon native lenses are extremely expensive and bulky, which is why I decided to switch to Sony mirrorless cameras and join the Sony ecosystem. So the Sony mirrorless camera lens ecosystem is extremely vast, has a range of native and third-party lens manufacturers that produce sharp, lightweight, high-quality lenses at affordable prices. If you're on a tight budget and you're looking for high quality affordable lenses for E-mount, there's also a ton of third-party manufacturers that produce high quality affordable sharp lenses for Sony E-mount, such as Tamron and Sigma. So what I really like about the Sony lens ecosystem is that you have a wide range of native and third-party lens manufacturers that produce sharp, high quality affordable lenses for Sony E-mount. So the next reason why I switched to Sony is economics. So Sony mirrorless cameras are extremely lightweight, compact, and portable. And as a travel content creator who shoots a lot of run and gun style videos, the portability and compactness of these full frame cameras is very advantageous to me. So one of my other big complaints when it comes to Canon R6 Mark II is the size of the camera body. The Canon R6 Mark II is actually quite a bulky camera, and it has these rounded edges that made it extremely heavy to carry as a content creator, which make it uncomfortable to carry and shoot for extended periods of time. So what I like about Sony cameras is not only are these cameras compact, but they also have these sharp edges, which make it easy for me to hold and carry as a content creator. As you can see, with one finger, I'm actually able to carry this full frame camera, which is actually quite impressive. Sony cameras also come with very reliable IBIS or in-body stabilization, which makes it easy for me to shoot content without a gimbal, because when you shoot travel content, you don't always have time to balance a gimbal. Sometimes you just have to pull out your camera and shoot on the go. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button to join the family, and most importantly, if you do have a question, make sure to leave a comment below. Let's go.